14, I joined IBM as my first job, and moved to the Commission to work on a research program in the field of information technology, which was the ESPRIT program. So that's a topic indeed that I'm very familiar with. As you have said earlier, I mean, the core of the issue is, of course, IT professionalism. And when it comes to education, that's typically computer science, software engineering, and this kind of thing, so highly specialized. And when we look on the requirements on the labor market, we see that there is a great demand of ICT professionals. And when we look about this, what kind of ICT professionals, so you see on the right side from the survey that has been made, the analysis that has been made by CEDEFOP, basically what we need is mostly software engineering. And here the question, of course, for Europe is how do we position ourselves? Because you know that China and India are producing, I would not say millions, but loads of software programmers each year. So where Europe has to develop its competitive advantage if the people in Europe want to have not only an industry which is competitive, but for people who are programming and people who are going through these studies to have good jobs, good careers, and good salaries. The demand is global. So we see that everywhere we are missing for talent. And actually, a lot of the talent that is used by Europeans actually is located in India. A lot of offshoring. I mean, you take Accenture, 200,000 people are working for Accenture in India. You take IBM in India is very big. So here also the question is why Europe can have a benefit and a stronger competitive advantage compared to those countries. And if you go to the US, you see that also it's a magnet for talent. So we have to compete with those regions, those who are producing highly qualified engineers at a relatively cheap price, and those who are a magnet for talent and attracting, of course, the best talent for Europe. If we look at the IT skills pyramid, we see that when we talk about IT professionals, IT specialists, we are talking very much at the top of the pyramid. This is where we need digital leaders, so people who know about the technology, but know also about the business, the field, and what it takes to develop a new architecture, a new process to get competitive advantage. So the issue is not just to code, it's really to design new business process, new business model, and that's what is actually very, very difficult. And then we need all these IT specialists, which are mostly software engineering, as I said, in various capacity, in extremely sophisticated and narrow fields sometimes. So we have to ensure that we have this pool of talent if we want Europe to be able to distinguish itself and to remain competitive and innovative. And then, of course, you have the much larger group of advanced users, so people who are just using the tools and the software that has been developed by the specialist. The massive users, usually for consumer application. And then, of course, you have the wider population, the elderly, the little the people, and the young people, and the pupils in education. So it's a big pyramid. And when you look about the effort that it requires when we talk about IT professionals, it's very much at the top. Now, if we also look very quickly in Europe, the different composition of IT professionals, we see that there are different growth paths. So basically, the blue path is when it comes to software, the core professional, it grows fast. But one of the fastest growing part is the red one, the one that deal with the management, the architecture, the analysis. So people who go beyond using IT tools to really develop added value and benefit for company. And you see that depending on Europe, on the country, you have different composition. And those countries which are the most advanced and sophisticated, and those who extract the most benefit of digital technology, are those who have, of course, the bigger part of the red and the blue part. And then you look, if you compare Germany and Italy or France, you see that Italy is much lower developed in this sophisticated aspect. And that's a big difference, of course, between the north and the south. And of course, there is another difference, which is the size. The size of the pool of IT professionals is not at all the same, depending on the country. While in Eastern Europe, they have also a lot benefit from the fact that activities, software programming has been outsourced to this country, sometime in an alternative to India. What is also very important is that we should not reinvent the wheel, and we should use common shared definitions. So one is for IT professional, the common European framework for IT professional, which has been developed on the CEN, so the European Standardization Body, which is the European e-competence framework. So that's the framework for IT specialists. Then for citizens and for, I would say, the workforce at large, the user at large, we have the digital competency framework, which has been developed by the Joint Research Center of the Commission, and which is indeed a powerful tool to use and promote digital competency for all, and also to allow benchmark and comparison between the different countries. So here you have information about effort to strengthen ICT professionalism and also digital maturity capability, because it's one thing to have the individual capacity, individual skills for an IT professional. Another thing is the organization of the company, the capacity of the company, the SME or the large one, to undertake the digital transformation. And here also that requires IT capability maturity model, which are, again, quite sophisticated. Then when we look about the distribution of the IT professional workforce in Europe, we see that it's very mostly focused in IT using sectors, which is a big difference with the US and Asia. In Asia, it's mostly the IT sector, which is the biggest, and in the US, it's more balanced. But in Europe, definitely where most IT specialists are in IT using sectors, in automotive, in trade, in media, in finance, but not per se in IT. Although it's 45%, it's quite big. And from that, it's important to understand that sectoral and strengthening the ecosystem in Europe, like automotive, like space, like defense, like retail, like tourism, etc., is the cornerstone of European Commission strategy for skills intelligence and development. So the blueprint for sectoral cooperation was launched in 2018. It's a budget of 100 million. There have been 4 waves of selection of sectors, and this has been rolled out at national and regional level in liaison with the ESF plus the European Social Fund. So here, this is something where we combine the need for digital skills at the highest level together with sectoral specialization. So because the need, of course, of digital skills for specialists in automotive is not at all the same as in tourism, as you can imagine. Last March, we adopted also the industrial strategy, and the industrial ecosystem has been identified for the recovery. And here you see the 14 ecosystem, and the box in blue are all the boxes where Blueprint has been launched or will be launched. Later, after my presentation, Luis from DG Connect will present the Blueprint for software. So this Blueprint for software will start at the beginning of next year. So it shows that for the future, we need to build on this strong asset of Europe in the sectors and in the capacity, of course, to transform European industry. So we will launch on the 10th of November a Pact for Skills that will be demand-driven, so based on needs, based on commitment. The idea is to support large-scale multi-stakeholder partnership based on the experience gained from the Blueprint, to provide also support in the EU to facilitate partnership, to facilitate project, to facilitate also exchange of market intelligence, and also to provide a single entry point for all the financial resource and guidance to be provided for the applicant and the beneficiaries. So this is something which aims to upskill and reskill digital skills for all. And I will share, of course, the information with the organizers about how to join this event. It will be in the afternoon, and it won't last more than 1 hour. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the presentation, André, and for being in time. I see we still have 1 minute before next presentation.
If you have any question?
In the question session, I just see the question if the presentations will be shared, which we will upon the agreement of the speakers. And just, André, is there any more information of how we could join or participate in this Pact for Skills at this moment, or should we wait for November to find out more details about it?
Good question. Yes, because in November we will launch the process. and there will be further opportunities to join. For the time being, we are organizing 7 high-level roundtables with CEOs, Commissioner Breton and Commissioner Schmidt. We have already organized a roundtable on automotive, a roundtable on microelectronics. The next one on Friday will be on aerospace and defense. It will be followed by construction, it will be followed by tourism, social economy, health, and more to follow. On the 10th of November, we plan to announce between 2 or 3 of these large-scale partnerships, which are almost ready. But there will be another window of opportunity in February when we will organize the industry days. So some sectors, as I have said, are more mature than others. Some sectors have already identified important partnership that they could establish and launch, and they were already mentioned in the communication adopted on the 1st of July 2020, the European Skills Agenda. So, and these sectors are definitely those who are in priority for the recovery and for the resilience, and they will benefit, of course, from the funding that will be allocated in support of the recovery and resilience facility.
Brilliant. We'll be looking forward to hearing more on this. And thank you very much, André. I hope you can stay over until the end and there might be more question and answer. But I invite everyone now to quit the session and to join the next one to listen to the next presentation. Thank you.
Goodbye.